Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube, whatever time you are watching this. So today is going to be a training vlog. I am on my way to one of the best gyms in Alicante, Titan Fitness. So reason being is I actually had to pick up Emma from the airport. Emma was away in Manchester and Rotherham over the weekend. She was getting her bikini fitted for her competition. She's doing the same ones as I am, but obviously we're not in the same class. But she was getting her bikini fitted and she was training in Rotherham, meeting some friends over there. So going to pick her up now, and then I'm going to be doing a full body session in Titan Fitness. So as I said, looks like it's probably the best stocked gym I've seen in Spain so far. So very excited to actually go train there. So yeah, I'm going to get back to driving. I'll see you when I'm there, and chat soon. So here we are at Titan Fitness Alicante, a very cool gym. So here I'm just walking through the gym, just showing you the vast array of machines I have. I have a machine for everything. So yeah, very decent for the bodybuilder in me. He was we don't discriminate against barbells, machines, or whatever, but machines can be pretty easy to load, pretty easy to push to failure. So yeah, I was talking to the owner here. Probably is one of the best kitted out gyms in the Alicante region, at least. So if you are in the Alicante region at all and you want to go to a good bodybuilding gym, I would 100% recommend giving this place a bit of a shot. Again, a piece for everything. The atmosphere in there is pretty cool. So obviously when I'm just walking around here, there's only one other person there. I kind of did this like in the middle of my session, but beforehand it was just all people who are absolutely jacked. If you go onto their Instagram page, you can see this is where a lot of the IFBBs train before they come over to do their actual competitions, because there is a lot of IFBB pro and amateur shows in Alicante. There's a lot of pro qualifiers. I believe there's one on the first weekend of July that you can qualify for the Olympia for. So it is definitely becoming the home of bodybuilding in Spain. So it's pretty cool to be able to train here. And yeah, it's nice to not be the biggest person in the gym. that happens regularly, but definitely want to train in abs. Certainly not the biggest there. And it's nice to be humbled and be around big, strong people in a gym like this. So first exercise of the day is back squats. So I had 3x5. This week I'm actually meant to be deloading my lower body. So I did 2x5. However, I was a little bit bold. Kind of went off program a little bit, which you'll see in a second. But yeah, 2x5 here on back squats. So started off at 192.5. So weight's still moving pretty nicely, albeit like I'm definitely noticing the difference between squatting with an Alico bar and Alico plates. Like I know the difference is minute, but say for example, like the weight here feels easier. Like here's 202, right? 202.5. And I remember before leaving for Spain, struggling with 205, like being an absolute RPE10. To be fair, this is not too far from RPE10. But yeah, it's weird because the weight feels easier. However, the weight feels more secure with Alico. Okay, because there's no bounce to the bar. Because you'll see here when I'm doing reps how much the bar actually whips. So as I get down into the bottom position, that little kind of bit of dip on the bar, it does kind of throw me off a little bit. It does kind of really make my brace work quite hard. Then even up coming up to the top, so you'll just hear the bar just kind of wobble slightly, and big kind of wobble on my back, which you don't really get with the stiffer bar. So yeah, it definitely makes the bottom position a little harder to keep myself upright. But yeah, pretty happy with this set. Like the day before, I was out with one of my mates and I did 24,000 steps the day before. Didn't have a great night's sleep, so to be able to still come in and push this weight at 85 kilos, like, by the way, this is the heaviest I've ever squatted at this weight. So yeah, I mean, I can't really complain at all. So being in the gym as in, I wanted to kind of give some pieces of equipment a go. So this Cybex hack squat is pretty infamous if you follow the bodybuilding circles, and I wanted to kind of see how heavy it is, how difficult it is. So just start off with a little warm up set here with 3 plates aside. So it felt pretty nice. So I decided to whack 4 on, right? And I've seen guys like, throwing 6, 7, 8 plates on this. So I said, fuck, I should be able to do 4. This should be a nice, easy warm-up set for me. And just see how this progresses. So ended up getting 5 here. So pretty much stayed within my 3x5 that was on my program, albeit not on a back squat. One was on a hack squat, so a bit of a typo potentially. So yeah, it's definitely harder coming out from that bottom position. So you see here, go for it. This could be rep number 5 there. No, that's rep number 4. Right, I should be like, yeah, I've got 2 more in the tank. Yeah, good, no bother. Go on, rack it now. Oh no, he's going to go for another one. He's going to go for another one. Is he going to get it? Ooh, no. See, now, you couldn't do that with a barbell, right? So that's one of the benefits of machines, right? They are pretty safe for you to fail in. Like, if I was to do that with a barbell with no spotters, I would be goosed if I had any appreciable weight on me. So that definitely is when kind of the utility of machines does come into play. If you are squatting heavy ass weight and you want to get a quad stimulus, me swapping a set of back squats out for that is not the end of the world, because at the end of the day, the back squat is in there for me to get a quad stimulus. That is going to give me a very potent quad stimulus, and it's not a different movement pattern altogether. I don't have any quads I don't have any DOMs in my quads today as I'm recording this. So yeah, win-win, and I was very much humbled. So yeah, 5 reps for 4, or 4 plates for 5 reps. I think that's meant to be not so good in terms of strength level on that, so much to work on. Now, so here is the hammer strength seated hamstring curl. So we've just added in some more hamstring work on this workout as of this week, just because I was a little bit behind. Again, this machine, it's funny when you use good machines and when you use bad machines, you really notice the difference. Again, another example is this one. So on the hamstring curl, for example, it was so smooth throughout the entire rep. Whereas on some of them, you will find that as you kick in towards the top position, or as your kind of heel comes in closer to your glute, as you contract the muscle, it gets really, really heavy there. Whereas you're going to be really, really weak there, and you want more kind of load in that kind of mid to lengthen position, which that machine did. And then similar with this. So usually on the other plate loaded incline presses that we'll have used, they just don't feel great. They feel weird on the shoulder. The actual kind of resistance profile of the machine, when you're pushing out against the handles, it would just feel very, very uneven, very heavy in one part and not so heavy in another. Whereas this one was very much an even challenge, so it was very nice to use this piece of kit. What I was meant to do was close grip bench press, but the benches in the gym, the benches in the gym weren't great. They didn't have any kind of mats for me to adjust my start position either. So I just opted for it and said I'd do my close grip bench press later on in the week. So yeah, I did these because I have these in my program anyway, and I was going to do my close grip bench press at a later point throughout the week. So yeah, for the most part, I probably recommend my clients don't go off their program. If they can stick to their program, they really should. However, if you're in a gym like this and you are more so looking to build muscle, you have a hypertrophy based plan, and it's not movement specific, it could be a good idea for you to it could be a good idea, or if you want to, you can just use a machine or do some exercise that's going to stimulate the muscle in the exact same way, which is kind of what I've opted for in the hack squat and the plate load chest press in this workout, because I wanted to give the machines a go. My main goal at the moment is muscle retention at the most. I don't know if muscle building is an option at the moment, but muscle retention, so that means me giving the muscle a good stimulus. So if that is with a machine, whether that's with a dumbbell, whether that's cable, whether that's a barbell, it doesn't really matter. Once that muscle is getting stimulated, it doesn't know any other way. And shout out to the guy beside me for stealing the show here. I don't know if he was trying to photobomb me, but it seemed like every time I started my set, he came over. He was the only other person in the gym, so I suppose technically he's my gym nemesis. So shout out to you, whoever you are. But yeah, so I wouldn't recommend people going off throw off program too often. To be honest, this is probably the first time I've went off program in a long time. suppose the benefit of following a powerlifting program is, there's very few replacements for squat, bench, and deadlift, and your program has a very, very specific focus to increase your strength on those lifts, as well as this outcome is very specific. If your strength has increased on those lifts. Swapping out a leg press for a back squat doesn't make sense in a powerlifting program. However, in a bodybuilding program, it could make a lot of sense, because again, you're stimulating a muscle in pretty much the same way. Maybe you get more muscle stimulation in your quads on a leg press versus a hack squat or versus a back squat, because there's a lot of unnecessary loading in a back squat, and kind of movers that you don't need moving, areas being loaded that you don't need loaded. So again, there's nothing magical about any particular movement really for the goal of muscle building. It's all about stimulation. So here is some single arm pull downs. So just having a slight lean back here and just focusing on driving that elbow down into the side. It's nice that they have the dual pulley system here, so it just means I don't have to sit on one side and then sit on the other as I kind of move from side to side. So yeah, probably underloaded these two sets, to be fair. Again, that can be the issue when you're training in a new gym as well, because the actual cable stacks can be slightly different in the loadings that you'd be used to use, so that you essentially may have to just go off RPE. So that is kind of one thing I kind of recommend clients. It just depends on the way the pulley systems work in actual cable machines themselves. But if you are in a situation where you're usually doing a machine in one gym and you go to another gym and the weights feel completely different, work up towards an RPE and just stick within the rep range that you're usually using. So this is the crossbody tricep extension. So I am doing this in a superset with a hammer curl. So big fan of this variation. The reason doing a crossbody is just the way your elbow is going to naturally extend. It's going to extend in more of a kind of, I'm going to say diagonal plane, I suppose you call it, but it doesn't extend completely straight. There's a slight angle to it. So if you perform with a crossbody, you're going to be the cable is going to be moving in the direction that your actual tricep wants to extend the elbow. So yeah, if you think I'm bullshitting, give it a go, versus just doing it straight, like in front of one cable with the cable completely straight ahead of your elbow. Okay, so yeah, give it a go, crossbody versus straight in line with the cable, and see the difference in how it feels. So hammer curls here, one of my favorite bicep movements, getting a good deal of brachioradialis involved as well, so getting some forearm development in there. If you're looking for an exercise to build big guns, if you're not including hammer curls in there, you are missing out. So you can kind of see here what I mean by the actual crossbody movement. So just looking at the way my actual arm is extending there. Now obviously I'm kind of leaned over slightly, and one of the reasons that I am leaning over slightly is just to give the actual cables a little bit more room for me to extend the elbows, a little bit of a hinge in the hips. And finally we have our last set of hammer curls there. So I do like to go relatively heavy on these, just focusing on getting the weight up, squeezing the bicep up at the top, and then allowing for some good loading in that lengthening position. You can use a little tiny bit of body language on these two. They're one of the movements that, like, I think it can be beneficial for like smaller muscle groups to allow for some body English in some movements. Like particular ones where you are going to be loading heavy. So for example, like I'm not just loading the bicep here, I'm going to be loading forearm muscles too. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of allowing for a little bit more body English. So yeah, just a little bit of a quad flex here at the end. They are getting fairly diced now on my vastus lateralis. I'm starting to see feathers pop up, lots of veins. So it'll be interesting to see what the next 12 weeks bring. And yeah, make sure that you are following along. Thanks very much for sticking around and watching this session, and I'll talk to you in the next one.